So good night and welcome to another interview at the Shield Doing in the Couch. Tonight I'm joined by Brandon Gregory. He's the lead singer and lead guitarist of Drop Top Alibi, a band from Toronto, Canada, Ontario. How are you tonight, sir?
Doing well. How are you, man? Thanks for having me on.
I'm good. Thank you for meeting me. So I discovered your band. I since the '90s, and I've always kept like discovering bands and discovering new music. You know, there's people that after high school they stop listening to music. Not me. I kept listening to music, and obviously your management sent me an email with the deal song, which is the new song that you just put out a few weeks ago and you're promoting, and I listened to it and I liked it because I, as you can see with the music behind me, I love the 90s. You know, I love 90s
Mm.
alternative, 90s rock, also 70s and 80s. And the song to me had, you know, that style that it sounded like a 70s with the 90s influence, but you know, the vocals, it has some of that 80s flair. So on that topic, Brandon, growing up, what were your, you know, your musical influence, the bands that you gravitated to?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you like the song. And yeah, you're pretty much spot on. I mean, the stuff that really got me into rock music was, it was that movie School of Rock that Jack Black was in, and I started asking my dad questions about, Zeppelin, AC/DC, and he had a ton of old cassettes and CDs. So, started off wanting to be Jimmy Page and Angus Young, and getting into bands like The Who and Motorhead and whatnot. And then just as I got older, I had my, my heavy metal and my thrash scene era. And then from there, it evolved into grunge, into like alternative stuff, like Jane's Addiction, Queens of the Stone Age, Fishbone, and then, yeah, and then in all of that, I discovered that I could sing pretty well and I could sing pretty high. So then obviously that whole, well, okay, then I'm basically, I can sing like Vince Neil. I can sing like this. I can do, and that kind of, overdoing it and
Old
then
Vince Neil.
finding what I actually could do. Hey,
Yeah, when
old
you say
Vince Neil.
Vince Neil,
Yeah.
old Vince Neil, because the new Vince Neil,
Yeah.
he can't. It's when I'm seeing the performances, I feel bad for the guy, you know, because it has to be hard on him, and you know, it's the lifestyle. But yeah, I gravitate to anything that had like that '90s because I don't know. I think it's because I grew up more in the '90s. You tend to gravitate to what you listen to when you were in high school, like you have like the memories. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I think of time or things that happen, I remember like what song was I listening to, what was my favorite album at the
Mm.
time, because you know that's like the power that music has, and that's something that some songs remind me of a different era of my life. And so I was reading about the
Mm.
band, and I know you guys won an iHeart Radio contest a few years ago. So yeah, that's interesting. How many bands were competing?
Um, it's like there's like a huge submission process, and they get I don't know, in the hundreds. And then they narrow it down to 16, and then it gets narrowed down to 8, and then that's when the live rounds start. So when you're in the top 8, you hit the stage. So ultimately, we played 2 shows. We played when we were in the top 8, and then we played when we were in the top 4, and then they announced a winner. So how many submissions they got that year, I'm not sure. It's usually in the hundreds. It's a popular contest, and it's a contest that has turned out some bands that have done really big things, like the Glorious Sons and Finger Eleven. Especially in Canadian music, but some of these bands, have gone on to have success in the States as well, and whatnot. So yeah, that contest, it was great. We won it in 2019. So kind of before anybody had any idea of like the shit that was about to happen, right? And
Yeah, no.
it led to us getting FM radio play. It led to us getting some agency interest, which led to a national tour getting booked, and we had a lot of music we were ready to work on, and we were going to tour, we were going to hit the studio, we were getting, bigger and better show offers, got to open for Theory of a Dead Man. And yeah, and then right as we were about to hit the road, it was March of 2020, and the rest is kind of history.
Yes,
So
we know what
that
happened. Yeah.
contest when, yeah, and that contest when, it was a lot of fun. It was stressful because it's like, oh, there's going to be a new winner next year, and we have this great opportunity, and there's bands that have really done a lot with this, and it was crazy, but it was really rewarding, and it's also kind of the last sort of remnants of what pre-COVID was like for us, and it was a good time, and it was exciting, and there was lots to look forward to, and yeah, it was a really good thing that happened for us for sure.
Yeah. What did they televise that contest? Was it like a television show or no?
Radio, like FM
FM
radio.
radio. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember here, I remember a few years ago they did contests here. Like they did something I think in like 2005 for Ozfest, where it was like a battle for a band to play in Ozfest, and they did like an MTV show, and I went to that Ozfest, so I actually saw the band that won. Uh, they were named A Dozen Furies, but I think they released one album, and after that it's a shame. They were good, but yeah, this contest, it can be like it can be a blessing, but it can it can be a curse. I believe sometimes in the contest, but there's some really great artists that have won, like for example in American Idol. Oh no, Daughtry didn't win. He turned out number 3, and he's had a very good career. But yeah, so that obviously 2020 happened, and obviously the breaks were put on hold, but you guys kept work after on 2021. You got back together when when the restrictions were laid off to work on new music, and the first song you created was Dillsong. What is
Hmm.
Dillsong about? What are the main themes in it?
Well, so Dillsong, so when COVID hit, it was pandemonium, it was chaos, and I know things were a little different in Florida than a lot of places, but
Florida,
where
it's
we
its
were,
own country. It's like a
well,
it's like a Twilight Zone.
that's where we were. It was people were scared were afraid to leave the house. It was very strict. It was very, things were closed. If you're gonna go for walks, you gotta do this, do that, and so it was a couple months before we even saw each other once everything hit. And we had all been writing, obviously going through our own things. And the main riff for the song Dillsong, our lead guitar player Dylan wrote, and he had recorded a voice memo of it or something like that, and he sent it to us all, and we really liked the riff. It was a good riff, right? And so that was one of the first songs we wanted to jump into once we were able to see each other in like May or June of 2020. And we just, yeah, it came together really fast. So Dill wrote that main riff. I wrote all the lyrics and the melody for the chorus. My drummer wrote, Jeff Cox, the drummer wrote the melodies for the verse. And Luke kind of arranged, the bass player, he arranged that whole midsection. It was a really collaborative effort, and it turned out really good. And it kind of, you know, we had to just constantly remind ourselves why we loved doing this, to stay motivated to do it, because we very much had put all of our eggs in the 2020 basket in a lot of ways, and had the heels of the contest win, and that window was narrowing. It was 3 months away from 2020's contest starting, but we were going to go on tour, we were going to do this. So the pandemic was devastating, and for me personally, I was drinking a lot, and that chorus for Dillsong, when we got to the point with the song in our jams, I just went up to the mic and I just spat that out, like word for word, note for note, like that hook just came out of me like that. And it's very much an expression of where I was at, like mentally and emotionally, especially. It was just frustration and darkness and addiction, and it just to spit all of that out onto that mean guitar riff just felt really good, and it motivated us all to just, okay, this could be a long haul. We're all hitting a riding stride right now. You know, if we come out of this thing with 30 new songs, great. Maybe half of them are good enough to record, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's it's weird when everything happened, because you're used to go outside, and even here in Florida, like being everyone being at home, like if you have family, they're there all the time. It can get on anyone's nerves. So yeah, it was a stressful time, but I'm glad things are opening up. We were talking offline, obviously, that you obviously in Canada, right? You saw Judas Priest recently, and obviously it was maskless, and you saw Rob Halford, and even at 71, he's amazing. And here in Florida, shows are opening up. I think people, you know what, music is an escape, and it's been a tough 2 years, so. People want to go out and listen to live music because it's awesome hearing like music like streaming or for old school people that like vinyl in vinyl, but it's never the same as going and seeing live music. For people that love music, they can understand that it's that feeling, like yours, and it's meant to be shared with other people.
Absolutely. And it's camaraderie, it's community, and, everyone can sing. It's just, there's varying levels of skill, right? Everybody can do it though. And
Yeah, I can
yeah,
sing.
and everybody can sing. It's just
Yeah,
varying
but
levels of skill. You
everyone
might
can
not be
karaoke,
great, but
you know.
that's it. That's it, right? So it's the five senses too, right? Sight, sound, smell. I mean, how many times do you walk by somebody who wore the same perfume as the first, person you had a crush on, or, the same cologne as your uncle, or like you pick up on those things. Music's the same way. It's like
Yeah.
a song could bring you back instantly to a moment in time where it's like, oh, that song was playing in the background and now I'm vividly picturing this. Like it just heightens every like natural instinctual part of the human psyche, and it's a beautiful thing. And especially in the older days, when it was a lot of analog playing, and it wasn't so digital and flashy and whatnot. You'd get 80,000 people just gathering to watch, 4 to 6 people up on stage, just like actually playing their instruments. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's like going to watch a good bar band, except, it's this huge thing.
Yeah. Did you ever see that the documentary that Dave Grohl did about the studio where they recorded Nevermind, and it's all about the Neat console and how
Mhm.
he brought it, and it's all analog. So yeah, that's very interesting. I think right now there's a lot of music that like there's some artists that abuse auto tune so much, and it doesn't sound human. Something about your band that I like because it's that retro sound. It sounds like people singing and playing, and not like super computer like because there's just so much of that right now. So it's a breath of fresh air to listen to a band that's more like 90s 70s type of rock and roll with all those influences that just get in a room and jam, like you said.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because we actually we record Dillsong was the first song we've done it, and now it's how we're doing everything. We've basically found our fifth member of the band, our producer Graham Shaw. We do everything live off the floor, and we reamp it through old amps, old gear. So Dillsong was take number 3. It was all 4 of us in a room. We played the song front to back, and on take 3, none of us really made any mistakes. So that was it. We took all the stems from that 3 minutes, put them here, and then added some layers, added some sounds. I did the vocals. And that was it. It was done. And
Yeah, nice.
we were the most happy with anything we've ever done.
Yeah, so let me show the artwork for the single for people that haven't seen it. So yeah, this is the For Deal song. So what did you wanted to convey with this artwork for this single?
Wanted to confuse the shit out of you and make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's like a huge insect. Yeah, it doesn't make me. It reminds me of you. Did you ever see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, the
That
part
movie's
where all the cockroaches are. Yeah, something like that. It looks like very similar to the ones in that movie. And
that movie's a good movie, but it's creepy as hell.
talking about the Temple of Doom before we had, technology sometimes can be a bitch. So that was a great movie. We were talking about Dill song. Let me show the artwork again here quickly. So yeah, we have the weird scarab thing that reminded me of the Temple of Doom, and you wanted to freak people out. I'm not that very freaked about bugs, but yeah, it's a cool looking artwork. So I know that we were talking a little bit about that you guys have some more new tunes and you're going to release new music. You have more material to release new music. Is this correct? So yeah, we were discussing that you guys have so many new tunes that you have material. If you want to release an album, you can. But you were thinking that it's best to release like music like in EPs. And you told me that you have a new song that you may release in a few weeks, correct? And you another one?
Yeah. So we've yeah, it's, today's climate. I mean, rock fans and rock like artists or managers and agents and stuff. It's good to have LPs, but just kind of coming out of what COVID was, and everyone's sort of picking up the pieces right now. For us, and for a lot of artists in bands, it is easier to just do singles and EPs for now. It's cheaper. It's everybody's kind of rebuilding a little bit. So we had Dill's song that's out now. We have another single coming out at the end of May, and we have been very active in the studio, and we're going to figure out how we want to release some more music. But the rest of this year and well into next year, there's going to be a lot of new music every couple of months. So if you like what you hear and you've heard us before, stick around. And if you're just meeting us now, then there's going to be a lot to look forward to if you want to hear some new stuff.
Nice. Yeah, no, I've heard a few of the songs, and yeah, they're pretty cool songs. So, any plans for any shows, upcoming shows soon?
Yep, we have some stuff in Toronto. We have some stuff kind of around the province. We're hoping to head into the States in the fall, but there's a lot that kind of, we'll have to wait and see what happens, right? So,
Yeah.
touring hopefully this fall, maybe next year. But for now, yeah, local stuff. We're playing the legendary El Macombo in Toronto on May 7th, so that'll be good. And yeah, other than that, just in the studio and doing the summer festival circuit.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds interesting. You have, the things to do. So, I have a question. A few weeks ago, I did a program with a friend of mine where we were discussing like the top 5 albums
Hmm.
that you would take to a deserted island. But I won't do top 5 with you. But I'll ask you what would be your first, the essential album, the album that you obviously in this fictional island there's a music player so you can listen to it. So what would be that album that you couldn't live without?
Wow. You know, because you'd be stuck and you'd be desperate and you'd be scared and lonely, like I'd probably want like either Zeppelin 4 or Highway to Hell or Who's Next, like one of those albums that was like when I first discovered rock, something that just like, whoa, like stole my attention. I think I'd want to bring, it'd either be High Voltage by AC/DC or it would be Zeppelin 4, because those were the first two like rock records that I like burned out basically.
Yeah, no, those are great records. And yeah, the idea is like it's hard like to pick. I pick five, but pick one or that you would take like album to listen forever. So Brandon, it was great getting to listen to your music this past week. uh it's I would recommend the band for anyone who likes like rock bands with 70s and 90s styles. Think of those like not grunge, because there's more like a rock and roll in the band. Like when I think about a band like you, like maybe people who like the Black Crowes and other type of bands that had like a mix of 70s with the 90s and that that type of vibe. So anyone that likes that type of music, rock and roll, without any like electronics or new stuff, like people jamming in a room, I think this Drop Top Alibi would be a band that they would enjoy. So I want to thank you for taking some time to speak with me. Obviously, we had some technical issues with that sometimes that happens, but we pull through. And again, uh, everyone, the deal song, they can you can stream it everywhere. Can they also buy it digitally?
On Apple Music, it's available for purchase. We haven't updated our Bandcamp for a little while, but that'll be the next step. But if you want to purchase it, Apple Music. But hey, even if you like the song, just listen to it 1,000 times on Spotify, and we'll get $1. So it's all good.
You'll get a fraction of
That's
a cent. Yeah,
That's
I know.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's crazy. That would be like that. But you know what? Talking about like streaming services a little bit before we go, like uh Bandcamp is awesome to buy, but I think like Spotify, the thing with Spotify is that it's easier like to listen to music there than Bandcamp. Bandcamp is kind of hard. I don't know why. Like to
Yeah,
listen
the
to music.
mobile app for Bandcamp's not great. So it's like unless you're at your computer, yeah. I mean, Spotify is the easiest one to use,
Oh
and
yeah,
they have a huge library too, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of
it's so unfair like growing up like I it's it has its advantages and disadvantages, because I like that aspect that when we were growing up like in the 90s, well, at least I was in the 90s, like when you would go to the CD or record store and you would like discover a band because you saw the artwork, and sometimes you would buy something just on the artwork alone, and sometimes it would be good, sometimes that was the thing. Now it's easier because you can stream it and you can buy something and you already know if you like it. I like like the things that I love to get them physical. But yeah, I'm not like this old man yelling at the wind like, oh, streaming is evil. So yeah, so but times have changed. Like 20 years ago when Napster happened and everyone uh, bitch and complain at Lars Ulrich for complaining, he had a point. He could see what was
no, he
going to
was
happen.
right.
He was right.
He was right. He was right. He just wasn't the best character for the leader of the movement, but he was right.
Unfortunately, yeah, but
If they had like Prince or Michael Jackson or Tina Turner, saying all the same things, I think it would have been received very differently.
yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
think it was just Lars, and I think Dr. Dre was also uh, speaking about, but the poster boy was Lars, and obviously then they got all that backlash. So we're rambling on here, but everyone listen to Drop Top Alibi. They're on the socials, and they have other songs. They have a few EPs that they dropped before that you can listen to, and hopefully the tours that will be coming and things will be picking up, and uh, so again, thank you again, and you have a great night, and until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude in the couch, and I'll see you right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.